Prior to the annual meeting, Southern Baptists gather for encouragement and edification through the preaching of God's Word at the Pastors' Conference. Students at Level College and New Orleans Seminary gather here weekly for the same. I'm inside the Roland Q. Level Chapel, the centerpiece of the seminary campus here in New Orleans. Originally constructed in 1958, the iconic chapel steeple wasn't added until nearly 20 years following the building's construction. The stately spire, a towering beacon of gospel hope, now serves as the logo for the seminary. On this episode of The Road to New Orleans, presented by New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, we visit with Pastors Conference President Daniel Dickard to hear all about this year's event. Thanks for joining us again this week on The Road to New Orleans. We got a real treat for you today. We're talking Pastors Conference with the Pastors Conference President, Daniel Dickard. So 2023, Daniel, it's been a busy year for you and your family already. I mean, we're recording this early, kind of late January, and you've already accepted another call to another church in the convention this year. You're moving from Friendly Avenue down to South Carolina.
Yeah, so in fact, this past weekend, God confirmed the call for us to go to Shandon Baptist Church in Columbia, South Carolina. We've been serving at Friendly Avenue the past 5 years, and what a great ministry it has been. This was somewhat unexpected, but as the Lord moved in our hearts and in the hearts of Shandon, we've just seen God's providence. So we're eager about a new ministry. We know that it's very busy with planning the Pastors Conference as well as transitioning ministry, but the Lord's been faithful, and we covet the prayers of those across the Southern Baptist Convention during this time of transition. Yeah, well, we'll be praying for you and your family and Shandon as well as Friendly Avenue as they search for a new pastor. It's two in a row now. The last two Pastors Conference presidents have left and transitioned ministry during their year. So just a word of warning, I guess, to those who are considering running next year, maybe, I guess. I wouldn't recommend it for the third person. It's awfully busy. So Matt Hensley and I are not recommending this.
Yes, I get that. All right. Hey, well, let's talk about the conference this year. This year's focus is going to be on the character of a pastor, and you're focusing on the Beatitudes. So why is this such an important topic for pastors today?
Yeah, well, ministry is not about us. Ministry is about the life of Jesus lived in and through us. It's not our job to build our own ministries, but rather build others through our ministries. And I believe the foundation for ministry begins with character. The character of Christ lived in and through us. When we look at the pastoral epistles, 1 Timothy 3, Titus 1, it begins with an understanding of character in ministry. Jonathan, I remember hearing the story of John Bassanio years ago when he was in college, and someone told him that 90% of those who begin in pastoral ministry will not end in pastoral ministry. And he personally wrote down those in the name of his class, and sure enough, by the end of his ministry, there were only 2 or 3 that were left standing. And so I think this is a reminder for us that the task of ministry, the primary task, is not just preparing sermons, it's preparing our soul. And so I believe this is an important juncture in the life of our convention for us to get back to the roots of pastoral ministry, the life of Jesus, his imputed righteousness through us, and also our pursuit of personal holiness. So I look forward that this Pastors Conference is setting the tone in a way of reminding us the importance of character matters in ministry through the Beatitudes.
Now, you've kind of touched on this a little bit in that answer right there, but what do you hope pastors really take away from the Pastors Conference this year?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would say encouragement. We live in a time where pastors are discouraged, and this 2-day event allows pastors across the convention to come together and to sit under biblical preaching and have their souls nourished in the Word of God. And so our goal from the beginning has been nothing more and nothing less than encouraging pastors. In fact, this year we've used a speaker selection team, a wide swath of faithful Southern Baptist pastors who made nominations of those who would speak, and I selected from their nominations. And we said from the beginning, our goal is for those who would be preaching and speaking, that they would encourage the pastor, that they don't use this for any other reason than just encourage the soul of the pastor. So we come with the goal of encouraging pastors and preparing hearts for then the annual meeting to follow after the pastors' conference.
So let's talk about some of those pastors that you got speaking and the speakers. Who do you got lined up as the main speakers this year for the pastors' conference?
Yeah, so on Sunday evening, we will have David Allen and Phil Waldrop. Phil Waldrop is an evangelist out of Decatur, Alabama. To my knowledge, he has not spoken at the pastors' conference before, but what an encourager. He has a pastors' encouragement conference in New England every year where they are encouraging 300 to 400 pastors in the New England area. And so with this thought of character and ministry, we thought he would be a great addition. On Monday morning, that we begin with Jim Shaddix, also Bartholomew Orr and Andrew Abair, all great pastors and preachers. On Monday afternoon, we will have Fred Luter's son, Chip Luter, and then also DJ Horton out of South Carolina. And then to close us out on Monday evening, we will have H.P. Charles, who's one of the best expositors, in my opinion, in the Southern Baptist Convention. So we have a good diversity of expositors, those who will share from the Beatitudes. Each of our pastors have been given a text to exposit from the Beatitudes. So sequentially, we're going to be walking through the Beatitudes. And so there'll be continuity in the sermon series through this year's pastors' conference.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that. We've seen that a few times over the past few years from the pastors' conference, kind of taking that one chunk of text and really diving deep into that. So that's great to see again this year. But that's not all. I mean, you mentioned that's a great lineup right there. But you've got some other pastoral talks from folks who've been pastoring for quite a while.
Yeah. So, as I began studying the Beatitudes, and I recently preached through the Beatitudes at Friendly Avenue, there's such a correlation between the Beatitudes and the fruit of the Spirit, as you see it there in the New Testament, in the book of Galatians. And so we have 9 preachers and pastors, denominational leaders, who will be focusing on a different aspect of the fruit of the Spirit, focusing on character in ministry. The sermons will be about 35 to 40 minutes each, but the pastoral talks are a bit shorter, 10 minutes each, and they're going to be interspersed within the sermon. So you're going to have 2 lanes, so to speak, interweaving together with these pastoral talks, 10 minutes, as well as the sermons. And we think the combination of both of these will just encourage the pastors.
I think the most impressive feat you may be able to accomplish here is get those guys to stay at 10 minutes. So
yeah, we talked to them about that, but like you said, good luck.
Yeah, but one of the great things I'm really excited about, I'm excited about all of it, really. I mean, it's going to be a great 4 days, the Pastors Conference, the annual meeting. You got Travis Cottrell coming in. He's right down the road from us right here at Brentwood Baptist. He's doing the worship for you.
Yeah, Travis is going to lead in a great way. We're so excited to have Travis. In fact, he had some other opportunities, but he was able to work it into his schedule to be with us. And what a blessing he'll be to Southern Baptists and to the pastors. But he's not the only one that's going to be leading. Nick Jernigan and also some of those from the New Orleans Baptist Seminary are going to be leading out on Monday afternoon. And then the William Carey University Choir Orchestra, they're going to be backing up Travis and his team. And so in the evening sessions, and so both Sunday evening and Monday evening, you can expect a full choir orchestra with Travis leading the way. And it's going to be a great evening, great time of worship led by Travis.
So that's going to be an incredible time of worship, I'm sure. But I want to close on something today. You've done something that no other Pastors Conference president has done, and that's start an endowment to help fund the conference moving forward. I mean, you got to raise like all kind of money every year to put this on, for the space, for the speakers, for everything. So talk to us about the endowment. What's the idea behind that and how people can help out?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've seen past Pastors Conference president bring ideas to the table that has made the Pastors Conference flourish in a lot of ways. Years ago, they started with sponsorships, and that's been able to help underwrite some of the costs. But with the increasing cost of just everything in America today and wanting to put on a great Pastors Conference, we see that the future of this conference and being able to minister to all Southern Baptist pastors, and not just pastors, those who come to the convention, that we need to be able to fund it adequately moving forward. And so our team worked with the Southern Baptist Foundation to set up an endowment. And many of the pastors that you will hear at this year's Pastors Conference, they are leading their churches to give to the endowment. You'll be hearing more about the endowment at the Pastors Conference itself, as we're going to be showing several videos. But our goal is that after this year's Pastors Conference, there would be pastors that would walk away committing for 3 years that their church would give a small gift that would go to fund the Pastors Conference moving forward. If we had 15,000 churches that would give $150 for 3 consecutive years, that we would forever pay for the Pastors Conference based on the corpus of the endowment and the investments. And so our goal this year is to start it. It's going to take multiple years. But if we can put the Pastors Conference in a position where it's self-funded through the endowment, I think that just helps pastors to know every year they're going to be encouraged through a Pastors Conference, and that we don't have to lean on our denominational agencies or other churches that would underwrite the cost, or sponsors. But we know that there's a plan that moving forward, the Pastors Conference is in a good place financially and fiscally that could minister to the pastor moving forward.
It really is investing in the future generations of pastors in the Southern Baptist Convention.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And so what we do today, we hope to see, the fruit of it 10, 20 years from now, and the importance of coming to the convention and knowing that no matter how discouraged you may be in ministry or encouraged you may be in ministry, that you're going to be able to sit under biblical preaching from those in our convention to help one another. And so we see this as a wise investment, and we hope that pastors will consider giving for the next several years, and they'll learn more about this at this year's Pastors Conference.
Well, Daniel, thank you again for joining us today here on the road to New Orleans. We're looking forward to the Pastors Conference this June, and you can find out more information at sbcannualmeeting.net. For those of you watching at home, we appreciate you each and every week joining us here on the road to New Orleans.